Good morning, everybody. Welcome all to the session. For those of you who are new to this session, let me quickly tell you something about it. What we do in this session is we pick up an editorial article from the Hindu and do a complete analysis, right? And this will help you understand everything that you require to improve when it comes to MBA entrance exams. It will help you improve your vocabulary skills. It will help you improve grammar skills, and more importantly, it will help you also increase in improving your reading skills, right? And needless to say, some amount of spoken English can also be practiced, but that is more like a side effect, right? And we will have this session at 10 o'clock every day in the morning, and the classes will be the classes will run from Sundays to from Wednesdays to Sundays. I'll tell you more about the schedule, but before we begin the session, let me quickly tell you a little bit about uh, the various other information which might be of some help to you, right? For example, you have this all India mega mock challenge which is going to be live for 48 hours. It started yesterday and it will be there till the 3rd of May, and this will give you a very good platform to pit yourself against people who are preparing for the same exam, right? So this is a very good way to calibrate your own performance with respect to other people who are preparing for the same level, right? And this is the app, Gradeup app. If you download it, if you have access to it, you will be able to access a lot of useful and important sessions which will be free, of course. Okay. Why choose Gradeup? These are the reasons: expert faculty, best practice and study material, and it would be an ideal way to start your preparation. There would be live courses with daily study plan. In short, Gradeup provides a very good platform to learn, to kickstart your preparation and to continue it, right? And these are some of the courses which are still on. Comprehensive course for CAT 2021. If you would like to take it up, you can, right? So there will be classes with revision, and this course will cover everything, the basics of all classes, of all exams, with specific focus on CAT, right? And the features of the class, you can see, you can have access to green card. Green card is basically something, it's like like a subscription through which you can actually have access to all the mock tests, right? And there will be the features that you can actually see here, right? And Maharashtra CET 2021 crash course. This is specially designed for people who are preparing for Maharashtra CET. And as you can see, booster, basically it's going to be a crash course. The focus will be more on how do you crack questions, strategies and means, ways and means as to how do you crack questions. And for those of you who are planning to go a little bit on the longer side, you can think of taking up this course also. And needless to say, do not forget to like and share the session. And if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, it is high time you do it, or otherwise you will miss out on many important sessions like this, right? So as I was telling you, right, let's begin with the session. And by the way, before we begin the session, let me quickly tell you something about myself, and also the timings of the series, right? My name is Sanoujam D.B. Singh. I am an English and critical reasoning faculty. I started teaching people like you in 2003, right after I finished my master's. So it's been around 18 years of taking classes for people like you. And the session that we are taking today is the Hindu editorial analysis. The timings will be 10 a.m. every day except Mondays and Tuesdays, right? So there will be no class tomorrow, there will be no class day after tomorrow, but the other 5 days of the week we will have the classes. Okay. What is the agenda? The agenda is to learn and remember words used in a context, and the article comes from the Hindu, right? And since it is given in a context, it is easier to remember and learn. And more importantly, iske saath saath, you will get to learn, you will get to improve your reading and interpretation skills, and thoda sa background knowledge. For example, today's article which I have chosen is something which will involve a lot of terms, technical terms, some of them technical terms which involve export, import, trade, finance, commerce, economics, like. So that when you read that article, I will explain and discuss certain terms which will definitely help you increase your background knowledge. So let me quickly show you. This is the first slide of that article, right? And take some time, 30 seconds to read it. And by the way, this is this is the first slide, so let's read it together and see. So, contrary to the expectations of many, Japanese Prime Minister, his name is Suga, has turned out to be a true successor of his predecessor. I just highlighted it, but I hope everybody knows this. Successor is somebody who comes afterwards, and predecessor is somebody who was there before. So, the the current, you know, Japanese Prime Minister is this Mr. Suga, right? Yoshide Suga, and the previous one, the former one, is Shinzo Abe, right? So, what does the first line say? Contrary to the expectations, this new Prime Minister has turned out to be something similar to the previous one. But was this expected? It was not. So, is it going to be on a positive or a negative note? Let's go ahead and see. Okay, so his visit to the United States last month. His visit to the United States last month has set the agenda for the wider Indo-Pacific. What is this Indo-Pacific? Indo-Pacific is a geographical area which includes, if you look at it, areas which are connected by the Indian Ocean and the Pacific, right? If you notice, इसमें Indian Ocean mainly you have Indo-Pacific में थोड़ा सा India तो है ही, Middle East a little bit towards the south of India, right? You have Australia also, you have Japan, so even the seas of China, so that geographical location is basically known as the Indo-Pacific region, right? And it's a very strategically important part when it comes to world trade and world political affairs, right? So, what have you expected so far? What we learned so far is that this man is going to be somebody who is going to walk in the footsteps of the previous prime minister, right? So that means he is taking the step forward more in a positive way. Right at the outset, right at the beginning, it was clear that the crux. What is the meaning of the word crux? Crux means the main point. So it was clear that the crux of the discussions. What do you mean by crux here? Crux basically means the most important points. So that is basically what is the case. Everybody is clear, I hope. All clear? Right. Okay. So the crux of the discussions during his first in-person meeting between the newly anointed. Now, this word anointed is a little bit of थोड़ा इसको discuss करना जरूरी है. Anointed, right? It basically means to rub with oil or a liquid on the head, especially as a ritual, as a ceremony. ठीक है? I hope all of you get this point. Anoint का मतलब होता है किसी के सिर पे you rub oil or water or कोई भी liquid. Now, do not take this to be like shampoo. This is not like shampooing. It is a ritual. और ज़्यादातर कब होता है? When a person is appointed or takes the throne as a king, right? एक ruler की तरह, ठीक है? So it is a ceremony. So anointed here basically means he was chosen. He takes the office of the president. Right, so all clear, I hope. So anointed here basically means that. All clear, everybody, I hope. Right, okay. So that is the meaning of newly anointed. All clear, everybody. Right. So in fact, if you notice, so his interactions with everybody points that Mr. Suga, it's going to revolve around China. So that is basically what we know. Right. So this is like the background to the entire article. Everybody is clear so far, I think. Shall we move on to the next slide? Yes. And those of you, okay, Aditya, yes, it is like baptism. The only thing is baptism is more religious, right? And anointment is a process which is like appointment to a political authority, like जैसे कोई ruler को anoint करते हैं, ठीक है? So that is basically similar. So वैभव, हाँ, exactly same तो नहीं है. Baptism में it is a religious process. This is anointment की वजह से what happens is the person becomes a ruler. Clear? So it's very similar to appointed, right, or taking office in a very important post, mostly like that of a ruler. Everybody is clear, I hope. Right. So this is the first slide. Everybody is clear. Chalo, let's move on to the next. Right. To begin with, Tokyo and Washington. Here, Tokyo and Washington represents nothing else but the country, right? So Tokyo and Washington drill down to brass tacks, right? Now, this particular idiom which I've highlighted here, drilled down to brass tacks, right? The Hindu has taken a liberty. Zyadatar, it is not drilled but get down here, right? If you look up in the dictionary, it is like get down to brass tacks. ठीक है, it is used there. थोड़ा सा liberty लिया है, normally idioms में नहीं करते, but ठीक है. So what does it mean? Get down to brass tacks or bill or drill down to brass tacks basically means to seriously start discussing the important issues, right? To take up in the right direction. For example, if I say at the exam, if I'll give you an example, cat is hardly 6 months away, so it is time to get down to brass tacks. Matlab, seriously start looking at the important points, important issues. It means to get on the right track in a serious manner. All clear, I hope, right? And guys, everybody, please be free to ask questions. Let's see. And what is it on the joint security part? So they are getting seriously, discussing, taking up they're taking up the point seriously. They're taking it seriously, right? And what is it? They need to address China's recent belligerence. What is belligerence? Belligerence means jhagralu nature, right? Aggressiveness, always willing to fight. I hope everybody is clear, right? Bellum in Latin basically means war. So now you know, so it's going to be like Japan in association with the US is basically looking at ways to counter China's aggression in different areas. All clear? Right. Let's see. Let's read the next part. Both sides affirmed means say to assert positively, affirmed the centrality of their. Yes, Aditya, correct. So belligerence is warlike tendency, matlab aggressiveness, jhagralu nature. ठीक है, right? So all clear, I hope. So both sides affirmed the centrality of their treaty alliance, right? So treaty alliance is basically an alliance which is basically made by signing treaties. Okay? So for a source of stability in East Asia and pledge to stand up to. Okay, to stand up basically means to face without running away, right? So to stand up basically means to stand up to somebody. To stand up to China means to face China bravely without running away. Okay? In key regional flashpoints. What are flashpoints? What are flashpoints? Flashpoints are like trouble, red, hot spots, right? Flashpoints basically means troublesome areas which can be marked like almost in red, meaning the points over which there could be disagreement. Okay, all clear, I hope. So Vishal, everybody, right? I think some people are there. So good morning. I hope all of you can understand, right? And so far, very few comments. I would like all of you to get involved. I will slow down, no problem. But aram se karenge. But important thing is we should be able to, we should be engaging ourselves properly. Flashpoint, समझ में आ रहा है सबको? So in key regional flashpoints, so trouble hotspots, correct? So Vishal Sharma, flashpoints मतलब trouble के hotspots, जहाँ जहाँ trouble हो सकते हैं, those are flashpoints. ठीक है? Such as the disputed Senkaku Islands in Taiwan. So if you notice, so far it's about Japan's new prime minister, his approach, a big chunk of his policy is how to deal with China. And at the first instance, he is speaking about this man's engagement with the US to control or to stand up to China. So far, so good. I think all clear. Shall we look at the next slide? Yes, right. All clear. Vishal, belligerence मतलब aggressiveness, झगड़ालू nature. ठीक है? कहाँ से आया है? Bellum in Latin basically means war. ठीक है? So हमेशा झगड़ा के लिए झगड़ालू nature, belligerence, it's a noun. ठीक है? Aggressiveness. Clear? Shall we look at the next? Shall we look at the next slide? I think we can. Okay, right. Let's see. Now this slide is more of details, right? So we can actually rush through it. Okay. reflecting the change, the nature of conflict. Both sides, here both sides matlab Japan and US, acknowledge the importance of extended deterrence. Deterrence basically means discouragement, discouraging, right, or dissuasion. Matlab deterrence is almost like you are discouraging somebody not to do something. So discouraging somebody to avoid, you're actually making a person avoid something. So that is, that is deterrence. Deter basically means to discourage. Okay? Deterrence, the noun form of the word discourage. All clear, I hope? All clear? Right. Okay. Right. And what is this vis-a-vis? This is again from Latin. Vis-a-vis basically means with respect to. So vis-a-vis basically means with respect to. So extended deterrence. Deterrence means dissuade करना, discourage करना, ताकि कुछ गलत काम ना करे. So मतलब रोक के रखना, right? So ताकि कुछ गलत कदम ना उठाए. So that is basically deterrence, right? And vis-a-vis China, all of you know what is vis-a-vis. Vis-a-vis is with respect to. ठीक है? Through cooperation on cyber security and space technology. So these are the areas on which Japan and US are going to collaborate so that they can prevent China from taking up wrong steps. Okay. So discussions also touched upon means covered Chinese ambitions to dominate. So discussions are Chinese ambitions to dominate new age technologies as 5G and quantum computing. So these are all details. Given China's recent pledge to invest, a mammoth basically means huge, something that is huge or big, right? So Washington and China and Tokyo scrambled. Scrambled basically means worked hurriedly. That is the meaning of the word scrambled. Okay. We shall avoid someone. What do you mean? Deterrence. No, deterrence does not mean avoid someone. Deter matlab discourage. Encourage का opposite. Right. जब मैं encourage करता हूँ तो मैं किसी को I make the person feel enthusiastic. Right. Deter is the opposite of that. It's like incentive की opposite. ठीक है. जब मैं इंसेंटिव देता हूं तो एनकरेज करता हूं, उसको ऑपोजिट मतलब कुछ ऐसी चीज करना ताकि वो आदमी या फिर जो भी साइड है वो कुछ करना बंद कर दे. ठीक है. क्लियर. राइट. सो Priya, rapidly basically okay, which word do you mean rapidly? Rapidly means okay, work scramble, correct? So scramble this, working rapidly, right? Working hurriedly. So that is scramble means jaldi jaldi kuch karna. ठीक है. So working hurriedly or working rapidly, that is scrambled. ठीक है. So China को counter करने के लिए these are the steps taken by the US and Japan. ठीक है. Now this slide will contain a lot of these are various. There are towards the end of the paragraph you will see a lot of red markings. These are terms which are used in international trade, right? Trade and commerce. So I'll explain. वैसे काफी self-explanatory है, but I will tell you the background also, so that will help you understand things to great extent. Let's see. The two allies. Two allies मतलब क्या है? Japan and the US. So earmarked billions. Earmarked meaning to keep for a special purpose. So earmarked billions matlab they have kept aside billions of money to be used for a special purpose. What is that special purpose? Deployment means utilization or using, right? Utilization. Deployment is utilization or using, right? एक ही चीज है. So they are actually keeping aside money to be used in these purposes, right? Okay. Vishal, few people deterrence firmers. Okay, now एक minute. The sentence which you're writing, Vishal, is completely grammatically बहुत haywire है, right? So I'll give you an example, right? So if you say something acts as a deterrence, that means it prevents the person from acting. It's a noun. ठीक है. Deter is a verb. ठीक है. So use it like this. If I say let's say there's a medicine. The medicine is of very bad taste. It is a deterrence for children to consume it. मतलब क्या है, मतलब उसके वजह से somebody is actually stopped because of that. ठीक है, all clear, right? Okay, so deployment is that. Let's see. I'll explain what is going to happen. All of you are clear now. ठीक है, I hope all of you are reading this slide. So Japan and the US are basically trying to counter China, right? So let's say both sides have also signaled their intent. Intent means what they want, what they intend to do, right? They intend to continue the Trump era policy of pressure on China to reform economic practices, right? What are the economic practices? Number A, intellectual violations of intellectual property rights. What are intellectual property rights? Intellectual property rights are, suppose if I have come up with a new process or a new product, right? It is mostly intangible, right? So it is basically something which you do, it's very similar to patenting. Suppose if I come up with a process of producing something or a new thing, right? I can get it patented and I can say that is my method, and if somebody wishes to use it, it can be done for a certain royalty. So that is called intellectual property. Okay, so China is known to be a violator of intellectual property rights. Okay, now all clear, I hope. Right. Now, forced technology transfer. Now, it looks very simple, self-explanatory, but with respect to China, this is a very, normal, it's a tactic which China uses. For example, I'll give you what happens in this. Forced technology transfer is, let's say, Google wants to go to China. I'm giving an example, right? The Chinese government will allow Google access to Chinese markets only if they give some technology. This is forced technology transfer, and it's a very, common tactic used by China. That is basically forced, everybody is clear with this now. So forced technology transfer kya hota hai, right? What is excess capacity issues? Excess capacity, again, it's a term that is used in trade and commerce, right? Excess capacity, I'll explain using an example. Suppose if you install a factory, okay, and the factory can produce 500 tons of, let's say, something of a product, but the demand is not that of 500 tons. The demand is that of simply 300. So it has an excess capacity. Now, excess capacity is a sign of unnecessary enthusiasm. It is basically going to cause a big drain on the resources. Long run में ये बहुत खराब होता है, right? I hope everybody is clear now. All clear? If it is not clear, you can ask. ठीक है? Trade distorting industrial subsidies. What are these? Distort मतलब खराब कर देना. Distort means बिगाड़ देना, right? To distort means to change the shape of something towards the ugly, right? खराब कर देना, ठीक है? And what is trade distorting industrial subsidies? What happens is, suppose if the Chinese government, this is again something which is done mostly by the Chinese, so they give a lot of subsidies to their own homegrown, what they call, industries. So that way, they will always have an advantage. So it distorts in the entire industrial market as such. Clear, everybody? So these are some terms which I thought everybody needs to understand. By the way, self-explanatory है सारे, right? बहुत ज़्यादा difficult नहीं है, but let me tell you, these are basically used to, these are basically problems which happen with China. All clear, I hope? I'll wait for 10 seconds, right? Okay. Priya, what is intellectual property rights? I'll tell you. Intellectual property is, let's say I come up with a new method. Let's say I come up with a method, let's say I come up with it's patenting, nothing else. Okay. Suppose I develop a new method to kill the coronavirus. Okay. Now I can patent that process and say it is mine. Nobody can use it. Well, if people want to use it, people can buy it from me. And whenever you use, you pay a royalty. For example, I'll give you a simple example. Everybody knows Velcro. Velcro बहुत लोग use करते हैं ना. Velcro जो है ना, right? Velcro, every time a company manufactures Velcro, right, उसका एक small percentage of royalty goes to the developer. Of course, the person may be no more, right? But एक fund होगा, उसका एक trust होगा जहाँ पे वो royalty जाता है. So that is because of intellectual property rights. All clear, I think? So far so good, I think, right? So these are things that we need to understand. By the way, थोड़ा सा मैं यहाँ बता दूं, right? All these things, इसके लिए कोई rocket science की जरूरत नहीं है, right? If you do a little bit of research and if you read every day like this, धीरे 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 your knowledge base will increase and इससे confidence बहुत बढ़ता है and you will be well equipped to answer or read every passage as far as possible. All clear? Right. Okay. Shall we look at the next slide? So, let's see. So far we are speaking about Japan and the US and how they are collaborating. Rallied around basically means supporting each other, right? So they have supported each other, right? They come together supporting each other around the standard of shared values. What do you mean by the standard? Standard basically means ideal. Okay, so I follow a certain standard, I follow a certain fixed, rule that is called standard. So they have come together, they have collaborated because of shared values. Values means, ethics, points or rules which both countries think are important, right? Everything is like self-explanatory, I think here, right? Okay, so both powers repeatedly emphasize the vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. So these are the shared values: free and open Indo-Pacific, right? Respects the rule of law, and you will notice now China बहुत गुंडागर्दी या बदमाशी करते हैं, right? So freedom of navigation, democratic norms, use of peaceful means to settle disputes in the aftermath of the Quad Summit. Now, what is this Quad Summit? Again, Quad Summit. Quad is a conglomerate of 4 countries which have come together to work, together. And these 4 countries are basically United States, India, Australia, and Japan. And it's going to be a very important, let's say, role player in the Indo-Pacific region. Okay, all clear, I hope. So, Yash, good morning. I think you just joined now. No problem. Anyway, let's see how things go, right? Everybody is clear so far. This is more of a detail or nothing else. This is more of a detail of, the values that that both sides want to promote. Clear so far, I think. No problems. Shall we look at the next slide? Agar koi problem ho, to just ask. Do not hesitate. Okay. Now, if you notice from this slide onwards, he is going to look at China and the plans as far as India is concerned. So Japan. Japan is collaborating with the US to counter China. So what are Japan's plan as far as India is concerned? Yes, this is what we will look at now. So given that the Japanese premier, who is the premier? Premier means the most important citizen, the first citizen, be it. So it is mostly used for, so in this case, it's the Prime Minister of Japan. Okay. So given the Japanese premier, the Prime Minister's plan to visit China, right? So his dealings are a preview of what New Delhi can expect from Tokyo. So all of you know now that you are speaking now about, okay, so what they have done with the US is from this we can anticipate what Japan would expect can do with India. So what is it? First, the one can expect a continuation of the balancing security policy against China that began. So yes, they are going to basically, balancing policy in the sense that they are going to maintain in such a way that things do not go wrong with China. This is something which was there with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Abe in 2014. Right. So Modi Suga is who? Suga, the Prime Minister, the newly appointed Prime Minister, accompanied by the planned 2+2 ministerial meetings, will likely aim to take stock, right? To take stock of. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of take stock of? To take stock of means to analyze, to take stock of the situation basically means to analyze, right? And to understand what is going on. So take stock of the situation. Okay, all clear? So taking stock of the situation is analyzing, right? Understanding what is going on, right? And all clear, I hope so far. Okay, what do you mean by push the envelope? Push the envelope means to, push the limits. Okay, pushing the envelope basically means push the limits. In short, to go to reach beyond known boundaries. That is basically pushing the envelope. So when you push the envelope, what do? जो limit है या boundary है उसको you push it ahead. That means you try to explore further. ठीक है? So pushing the envelope in short is basically nothing else but exploring further. Is it clear? Exploring further. So now can anybody tell me when I say exploring further, right? Exploring further, this can be, it can be also used for negatives, positives. दोनों use कर सकते हैं. अगर मैं negative में करूँ तो negative explore करना, that is basically the point. ठीक है? All clear so far? Everything is clear, I hope. Right. What is the meaning of the word nascent? Nascent means in its initial stage. Initial stage, right? There's a synonym for this, for initial, that is nascent, that is incipient. Okay, all clear, I hope. So these are the words that you can probably understand. I hope all is clear. No problem. Okay, right. So correct verb of like nascent oxygen, oxygen in its purest form. Okay, in its initial untouched. Okay, so nascent, something that is in its initial stage. Incipient is a very newly formed. Yes, you can take it that way. Right. Let's do one thing. We will make this the last. This will be the last slide. Right. In fact, there are some more terms which I wanted you to know, but probably it's a little bit okay. So the second thing is the two powers will look to expand cooperation in, so the two powers will look to expand cooperation in sectors. So this is like, who are these two powers? Now Japan and US say we have moved to Japan and India, right? So let's see. During the Shinzo Abe years, New Delhi and Tokyo put together a digital research and innovation partnership that ran the gamut, right? Ran the gamut means to contain many things, right? Contain many things of a wide range. कैसे? एक बार देखो, gamut means range, a list, right? So ran the gamut of technologies from artificial intelligence to 5G. मतलब many things were on the list. So that is what we mean by ran the gamut. Right, these are all details. There is just one more slide after this which I would like you to focus on. We will skip some. Why am I saying this? Is because there are some terms which are of importance to us. Let's see. Right. So as with the US-Japan summit, Mr. Suga and Mr. Modi may look to deepen cooperation between these. It is unclear whether Mr. Suga will attempt to stir the pot. Right. Stir the pot basically means to bring up unwanted things. Okay, it means देखो, let sleeping dogs lie opposite. When you stir the pot, you mean you bring up unwanted things. Okay, all clear, right? And insistence basically means किसी जिद पे अड़े रहना. Okay, so when you insist on something, you say no, I am not willing to change, I want this. That is called insistence. Everybody is clear with this? Stir the pot, insistence, सबको समझ में आ गया? Now data localization, this is again an issue. International, इसमें बहुत important है. I'll tell you what is data localization, right? Data localization is this. See, nowadays when it comes to information technology, right, the entire, if not the entire, a lot of things will depend on data streaming. Data, or the importance of data is very important, right? It's like, it's needless to say in the economy now. So collection of data is very important. India, data localization is basically nothing else. Suppose if a certain company or an organization wants to take data from a country, right? India insists that first, before utilizing that data abroad, it will have to be stored, it will have to be kept it will have to be utilized and kept in India first. That concept is called data localization. That means allowing restricted access to data that has been collected in a particular geographical political place. All clear, I hope? That is data localization. Right. And hope it is all clear. And exceed to means agree to. Okay. Right. So if you notice, so far what is the passage about? The passage is about, the whole passage is about, India and China. Sorry, not India and China, sorry. Japan looking towards the US to counter China. In the same way, Japan will also look at India to counter China. So that's what the entire process is about. All clear, I hope? Right. Do you want to take one more slide or shall we end it here? बहुत सारे हैं वैसे slides, so there are many, right? There are many, right? In fact, this is enough for today, right? I will just end it by giving you just two things, right? Two important things. What is the full form of this ASEAN, right? This is an anagram, right? Anagram is what it's an abbreviation, right? So it's the short form. The full form is Association of South Asian Nations Outreach. Dekho, this ASEAN countries, basically when you speak about this ASEAN countries basically refers to nothing else but these 10 countries: Brunei, Cambodia. So these are, and if you notice, none of India and India's neighbors are a part of it. Okay, right now. Okay, and there is one more thing. There is a regional comprehensive policy economic, the regional comprehensive economic RCE करके एक और है, right? Export import, especially in self-explanatory. It is a free trade agreement involving Australia, so all these countries, and India basically is not a part of it, right? So free trade agreement is this. So these are 2 points with which we will end it, right? So I will meet you again tomorrow at the same time. Let's end it here for today. Right, enough. One article is more than enough. And if you like this session, do not forget to like and share it. And if you have not subscribed to it already, do so at the earliest so that you do not miss out on classes like this, right? And by the way, I hope all of you know about Gradeup subscription, Gradeup Super subscription. To this, you have 3 options. You can subscribe for 3, 12 or 24 months, right? Now, and you can get a discount of 10% if you use this new app, new 10 or app 10, APP10 as the applying code, right? And what is the advantage of Gradeup Super? Let me tell you very simply. Gradeup Super, if you subscribe to it, you will have access to all the running and upcoming courses related to CAT and other MP entrance exams within that period. Suppose you subscribe for 24 months. That means within that period, whatever course comes up, you can watch it, right? So there is no need to purchase separate courses. And these are the people who will be taking your classes. You can see that each of them very well versed, very well experienced in their own fields. So it would be nothing less than nothing less than a boon to take classes from the 10 classes taken by these people, right? So that's what the schedule for today, the YouTube schedule today. This is the session which you just attended. At 12 o'clock you have a session on sentence correction and error detection. At 9 p.m. you have DILR marathon. So these are the okay. Vaibhav, stir the pot का meaning मैं बता देता हूँ. Stir the pot basically means to raise unwanted issues. ठीक है? It's almost like you open issues, you bring up issues which are best kept hidden. ठीक है? जो settle हो गया उसको फिर से raise करना. So that is called to raise ugly points. Okay. However, with respect to the paragraph, I'll tell you, right, before we end it, I'll just tell you. देखो, if Japan wants to stir the pot with India, that means there are many issues, right, that India has with Japan or Japan has with India. अगर उस पे चुपचाप उसको if you keep it aside and continue working ahead, right, that is good. But if Japan decides to stir the pot, it means if Japan decides to bring up those issues जो already अभी तक थोड़ा सा पास में चला गया तो bring up to bring up those issues would be stirring the pot. ठीक है, right? So I hope that is enough for today. I will meet you again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Not tomorrow, sorry. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, there will be no classes. This analysis will not be there. Right. Other classes will be there. So I will meet you again on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, the same time, with another article from the Hindu, and we will continue doing an analysis like this. Right. So that's it, everybody. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you again on Wednesday.